part of the incredible Nintendo Entertainment System?
Nintendo Entertainment System.
Nintendo Entertainment System.
Nintendo Entertainment System.
Nintendo Entertainment System.
Your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Now you are playing with power.
The year is 1985. The NES gets released, and by 1989, everybody has to own a Nintendo. With the gameplay of Tetris being so well known, I figured I'd talk more on the story of Tetris. In a brief summary, Alexei Pajitnov worked for the USSR right before the fall of communism in the late 80s. Pajitnov created Tetris on a Russian computer named the Electronica 60. It was passed around the office and became very popular. He then later ported it to the IBM PC, where it was distributed all around Europe on floppy drive. The USSR quickly discovered it, and it was reabsorbed into the government under the name Allure. In comes Hank Rogers of Bulletproof Software, a Japanese developer and CEO looking for his next big break on the Famicom. He was working a trade show where a bunch of people were gathered around a PC playing Tetris. He eventually walked up and started playing. He was instantly mesmerized. He called the game simple and complex, and that's when he knew he had to get it on the Nintendo Famicom. He eventually did get the rights, and it was fully endorsed by the head of Nintendo's Japan, and it quickly became the highest selling game on the platform. Hank was then later introduced to the Nintendo Game Boy by Nintendo of America. They were still trying to figure out what game to distribute on the platform. Hank later stated, if you want to sell a couple 100,000 Game Boys, package it with Mario. But if you want to sell Game Boy to literally everybody, package it with Tetris. And with that, Hank's fate was sealed. Nintendo of America asked Hank to fly out to Russia to talk to Allure about buying up the handheld rights and home console rights to Tetris. Tetris was then packaged with the Game Boy, and it was released on the NES in America. The rest is simply history. Legend of Zelda for the NES is truly an open world game at its core. You can tackle any dungeon in any order, you can explore, you can get bombs, the candle, you can find rupees. I mean, it's truly just open-ended. For an NES game, that's pretty revolutionary. And with it being the first in the series, even if you don't like it, you can at least give it a shot, and maybe you can try 2, or the later down the road, Ocarina of Time. It just opens the gateway up into trying these good Zelda games. There are a handful of boxing games on Nintendo, but none are like Punch-Out! One of the notable experiences for me is the fact that you can beat Glass Joe in the first minute of the game. If you punch him at 42 seconds on the dot, he'll go right down. I think that's something that people will never forget. The fact that each fighter has their own special quirks that you can beat them in, or you could just beat them through sheer determination. You could just drain their stamina and win the fight normally. It's that play the way you want to play kind of mentality, and Nintendo has nailed it. Contra is the antithesis of run and gun gameplay, and my god, Konami has delivered a true staple. Of course, Contra being an arcade game, it did pretty well, but the NES version of Contra far surpasses the arcade game. I played it, it's good, but I would much rather play the NES version of Contra. The tight controls, the ability to dodge bullets, and to be fair, you're never going to be good at Contra in the beginning. You will suck. But it's that gameplay loop. It's tight. It's precise. It's responsive. Each game you play is better and better than the last. And when you get to that first boss and you finally get through it, the reward is sweet. You finally progress, and you do feel like you are truly progressing. Contra's gameplay loop is rewarding and exciting at the same time.